What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, checking out the brand new Centurion support that just got revealed coming out of Rage of the Abyss. And let me first start off by saying, if you're someone who likes Valiant Smashers, whether it be Valmonica, Memento, or my personal favorite of the three by far, Centurion, which I really like this archetype, you are seriously just eating good at this point because this is absolutely crazy. We are on our fourth wave of support for these deck building themes, which is pretty much unheard of. Usually the way the deck building archetypes work is they get 3 sets of core support, and then you get some more support way down the line of like legacy support and stuff like that. And then on the other side of the aisle, if you are someone who likes wild survivors, oh my gosh, you have just been abandoned and left in the wind. And I know someone is screaming at their computer screen right now, Kappa G, don't even bring up wild survivors. They're like the worst set ever. It's terrible and no one likes those themes. I mean, I really like Vanquish Soul, but you know, the wild survivors themes are not super popular. They don't have a lot of fanfare as opposed to some of the ones from, you know, Valiant Smashers, which if you guys don't know, Centurion's really popular in the OCG. So Konami's kind of going overboard. And by the way, Centurion have multiple cards in this set, not like Memento or Valmonica, where those are archetypes that Konami, you know, are really pushing to be good. Memento was like unplayable when it first came out, and you know, 3 waves of support later, it's topping the NAWCQ. So if you get so many waves of support in Yu-Gi-Oh, you eventually just become good. And I like these new Centurion cards. So yeah, we've got Centurion Samilia. This is your main deck monster, which is a level 4 Dark Pyro monster, which I would say at this point, like, Centurion's probably going to have to main deck Bonfire. I know some Centurion players play it, some of them don't. I think Bonfire is just probably going to be a staple by the time that this comes out, because so many of the Centurion cards, you know, like Pyro and stuff like that. 1200, 1600, both of your effects are hard ones per turns. First effect, when your opponent activates a monster effect as Chain Link 2 or higher, you can make that effect become your opponent places 1 Centurion monster from their face-up field or graveyard face-up in their spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Samilia for the rest of the turn. Second effect just special summons her from the back row, because that's built into basically all the main deck Centurion monsters. That's kind of like the whole gimmick of the archetype. The girls put themselves in the back row as traps, and then they special summon themselves. So this card is interesting, and me being the Yu-Gi-Oh boomer that I am, I kind of remember like way back when only Dark World was like the only theme in the game that could change your opponent's effects into different ones. The Dark World cards used to change into, you know, your opponent is making you discard and stuff like that. And now we've built it into Phantom of Yubel and other stuff. But this one is interesting. It's not as good as Phantom of Yubel strictly because of the whole Chain Link 2 or higher. I say that because it doesn't really isolate you, or it doesn't make it so that your opponent can't Nibiru you if you try to go ham, which Centurion is probably going to go ham. Now, you're not going to see Centurion players playing 4 summons or less. Now they're just going to be going, you know, pretty much like balls to the wall. You can't really stop a Nibiru because your opponent will just say, oh, after resolution or in the open game state, bam, they'll just slam a nib. However, this does stop things like Ash Blossom, or cards that might be used, like, I don't know, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, that generally might be Chain Link 2 as your Centurion girls try to summon themselves out of the back row. So that's kind of nice. I think that this card is probably going to be a 0 to 1 of. I could see the deck not playing this card, but as a 1 of, it'll probably be fine. The real highlight, in my opinion, is the new Synchro monster, which is excellent. This is Centurion Primula Primus. Level 8 Synchro monster, and I thought that Centurion's next Synchro was going to be a level 8. Like, I thought eventually they would get another mecha suit, and that they didn't need any more 12s. They've already got 2 12s. I thought that an 8 made more sense because 8 and, you know, 12s are obviously the bread and butter of Centurion, but they can go into level 8 Synchros just as easily as they can go into 12s. They don't generally go into them as much because they didn't really have anything to go into, but now they do. It's a light spellcaster, 2600, 2600, and it's also a tuner, which is very important because you can take this, you can go into this card with, you know, how you just normally go into 8, and then you can summon something out, and then you can go into a 12. So this card kind of naturally works with the line that Centurion might already want to do anyways. You have a hard once per turn on your first and third effect. The first effect, if this card is synchro summoned, you can add one Emblema card from your deck to the, or excuse me, from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then you can destroy one card you control and one card your opponent controls. So it's kind of nuts. I mean, number one, this is the Emblema Oath Searcher that the archetype has desperately needed for a very, very long time. Like, you finally have it. Also, it recycles from the graveyard, so that's kind of nice. But then when you're going second, it also serves as like potential removal, because you can pop something on your side of the field and then pop something on your opponent's side of the field as well, to just get rid of, you know, some cards that maybe you don't want to deal with, some bodies, something like that. Second effect, if this card is special summoned, or excuse me, this special summon card cannot be destroyed by battle unless it was summoned from the extra deck. So if you do happen to reborn it from Phalanx, basically it can be the ultimate chump blocker. Just summon it in defense mode and it can't die by battle. So, you know, just a way of not dying essentially. Third effect, if a face-up Centurion card or cards you control leave the field by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. This is actually low-key, like, it's not what makes this card great. Obviously, the first effect of searching Emblema Elf is, or Oath, excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying Oath. Obviously, that is the real starter. That's like what makes the deck so much better and more consistent, and you guys will be seeing combos, but this third effect can't be overlooked. And I say that because this card is like, it's always going to end up in the graveyard as you kind of synchro up, right? But let's say that your opponent uses something like Ghost Ogre during your turn when you're trying to synchro summon, or let's say that your opponent activates Cosmic Cyclone on your stand-up Centurion when you're, you know, trying to synchro summon. You can just summon this card from the graveyard for free. Now, does that mean you're going to survive? No, but it won't die by battle that turn. So, like, your chances of survival are going up exponentially if you get a free body and it can't die by battle. At least your opponent will have to use some removal on it. Maybe they have to go into like a weird SP play or Typhon or something like that, in which you will be able to survive. But I think that this card is an absolute staple. I think that they're 100% going to run this, and also the fact that the deck can search Emblema Oath, which, you know, it has definitely needed to do since probably the first sets, it actually makes the new tuner, the one that is coming out in info, the blue one, it makes that card like actually useful now, because, you know, when you summon her, if you have Emblema Oath in the graveyard, you get to draw a card, but it's like, well, you know, you can't really search it, but now you can search it, so it just makes it more consistent. But I think that this deck is looking kind of scary, because some of the turn one plays that you can do, especially if you want to run that one brick in your deck of Synchro Rumble, you can do some pretty crazy stuff. And in the TCG, we still have Calamity, so we can just skip turns. So I think that I might have to go ahead and pick up a Centurion max rarity core. But anyways, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm very satisfied with these cards. Thank you guys for watching as always.